Good morning, everybody. I am really excited to have you all for Chasing Courage for this month. It's been such a journey since April when we began, and this is like our fourth full month, but really we started 5 months ago. And so I want to welcome each and every one of you who is here, and even those who will come will find us ready for them. And I just want, for the benefit of those who are new, because you've come maybe from John's network, I'm going to tell you who we are about. So this is Chasing Courage. It is an educational and inspirational and encouraging forum. And the purpose of it is so that moms are equipped to have the tools so that they can be able to live life fully, so that, you don't feel alone. Any mom, any lady who is out there, you know that you have company in whatever struggle that you're going through. And for those, again, who are new to me, my name is Wairimo, the Audacity Mentor, and I am a mindset and life mentor to moms, and I help them redesign their lives with the power of what I call their odd factor, which is really a combination of all the wonderful things that God put within them so that they can win life, as the Bible tells us in Luke. And as I have said before, in this forum, I usually help them in three categories: in their faith life, in their family life, and in their financial life. And today, really, I think we are covering all those areas, because if you feel held back, it affects your faith life. It affects your family life because it's felt through your spouse, if there is a spouse, and through your children. So this is a very important discussion, and I am so excited to have the ladies who have already shown up on time. A few weeks ago, I put a quote on my page, Facebook page and Instagram page, and I said that valor grows on daring and fear by holding back. And so the reason we are here is to see how can we get valor? How can we get, another word for valor is courage. How can we be more courageous even when we are afraid? And so as moms, what we are saying going forward, we're not going to be afraid. And when we are afraid, we're going to know we are afraid and go at it afraid. So I saw a write-up by somebody who is called Dwight Anderson, and he was saying there are three types of people. There's an accuser, there's an excuser, and there's a chooser. The accuser usually blames everybody. And then the excuser always has an excuse why they can't do something. But the one who is a chooser acknowledges these are my weaknesses, or this is my stuck point, and then moves on from there, comes up with an action. And so today, I know through John Wills's presentation, we are going to be choosers. We are going to be women who are going to choose the best for our lives. And by choosing the best for us, then we are going to impact our families and extend it to society. So as always, I'm going to share with you a passage from the Bible. We pray, and then I welcome our guest. So today's reading is going to come from Isaiah 43, from verse 18b to 19. And it says, God declares that he's doing a new thing in your life. And this is how he says it in his word. Do not cling to events of the past or dwell in what happened long ago. Watch for something new I'm doing. Watch for something new I'm going to do. It's happening already. You can see it now. I will make a road through the wilderness and give you streams of water there. So let's assume that what we call our wilderness is our struggle, or whatever is holding us back. God is saying that he's going to provide a way from you. And sometimes we wonder, how do these ways come? How do we know that God is actually giving us a way? It's by showing up for talks like this one. It's by giving time, so that then God speaks a word to you, even if it is not, calling your name, but you will know that that particular message was meant for you. So I want to welcome everybody, even those who are joining us live. I want to thank those who have shown up on this Zoom call. We have a chat. Please write any questions that you may have there. As people come in, I'm going to mute them unless John requires of us to be unmuted, then he's going to tell us to do that so that we can participate in this wonderful discussion. today we titled it Chasing Courage, and trying to discuss why are women not progressing the way we should? Why are we stagnating? And my particular question was, especially for moms who have spouses, is it your hubby who is making you not move? Who is it? A dude? Is it a guy who is making you not be where you're supposed to be? So let's have this discussion. Is it a guy making us not progress, or is it ourselves? I am so curious to hear what John has for us. And John is more than just a guest. I call him my brother. He calls me his sister, and he is the founder of Lead Global Impact, and he'll tell us a little bit about his organization. He, like me, is a mentor, but he's gone, much further because he's a content creator in Matters Mentorship. We usually click on, especially majorly two areas, John: leadership. We are big on leadership, and parenting. And I know I'm big on the women's side. He is big on the guy's side, and he'll tell you about that so that you see how we complement each other in the work that the Lord has given us. He's also an author. He'll tell us about his books. He has one called Father to Son and another one called Brave Hearts. So I'm hoping through this discussion that we are going to see things differently, that God will show up for you to show you the water streams in your wilderness, however that looks like. So my dear friend, I would like to welcome you to take us through your presentation and just help us think differently so that we stop blaming other people. We become choosers as opposed to accusers and excusers. Welcome.
Thank you. I really appreciate and this is a great it's a great time. Thank you for inviting me. Yeah, and I know I look different from the guy on the poster. It's because of these COVID manenos, so you can't you can't go to the barber shop. But all said and done, I'm truly grateful to God for this time and for the work that you're doing, and also for the ladies who are here signing up. There is nothing as important in life as self-care, and that is also in terms of personal development, whereby you commit to see yourself grow, and also maybe the narratives that you have about yourself and about other people challenged, so that you can also have a chance to evaluate your path as a person. So my name is John Wills Njoroge, married to Wills Njoroge, and it is an honor. I work with Lead Global Impact as a co-founder, and what we do is mainly mentorship for the boys. We also equip fathers to mentor their sons, and we also have leadership programs, that is Leaders Crest. And lastly, we also offer online learning platforms, supporting schools and teachers as a way of also creating employment for qualified teachers. But all said and done, I think the most important thing for me is the love of God. Because when all is said and done, everyone is gone and everything is gone. Only the word of God remains. And the things that I will be sharing today, it is my prayer that it will be beneficial to each and every one of us, and that it will also be a learning curve. So I think we can get started now. Let me put a disclaimer here. I don't like using PowerPoint, simply because I believe in people taking notes. And for all the trainings that I have, I rarely share PowerPoints, simply because when I know no one here has ever done that. Someone forwards you a PowerPoint, then you don't even finish reading. You forward it to someone else, then you forward it to someone else. So I believe in taking notes and also having conversations, because interpretation of a matter, it is affected by where you are at as a person. And how you communicate to one person is not the same way that the other person will understand. And so we dive in. The topic is chasing courage. Uh, and one of the things that came to my mind was, you can chase courage and courage can chase you. And I think this one, courage has been chasing every one of us, but we also need to chase courage. And the question is it men who make the choice for women? Uh, these are these are tough one, because when I received the flyer, I shared it with my mom, and she said, "I would really want to hear what you're going to say." And I told her, I will not invite you, but we will have that conversation. Maybe my wife will share the notes with her. So now, for each and every one of us here, the ladies who are here, and I included, we have three needs. And these needs, one of them, number one is a sense of belonging. And then number two, significance. And number three, affection. And number one, belonging is what makes you ask yourself, what am I here for? And most of the time, as a result of how we are brought up and also our education system, we are actually asked to study certain subjects to get a certain job, but you never get a chance to connect with yourself. So your life is always determined by the external, but you've never had an internal journey to answer that question, what am I here for? And that is why you find sometimes we think by, let's say, changing a location or changing career or applying for a certain tender will give us satisfaction. But the truth of the matter is, when the sense of belonging is not addressed, we tend to do things seeking satisfaction, but we never get satisfied. Now, there's also significance. And for significance is whereby I have had quite a number of ladies saying, I lost my name when I got my first child. So, mimi ni Mama Nani. And others say, don't call me Mama Nani, my name is X. Or let's say my name is Audacity. And then you hear someone else saying, since I got married, it's like I lost my identity. Now, before someone got married, they were really looking forward to it. Before they got a baby, they were really looking forward to it. But now when these things come, it's like the interpretation now is, there's something I have lost. Now, I don't want to go deeper in that, but we'll get back. Now, the last one is affection. And affection is key because when affection is not nurtured well from your childhood, then you will only love people from a place of inadequacy and from a place of seeking approval from them. And so what happens is that in our upbringing, you'll find that some things that you remember is how you were corrected by your parents. And the way they corrected you, in a way, it defined your sense of belonging. And so it interfered with your ability to have good judgment. And it can either be you have good judgment, or your judgment is negatively affected by some of the experiences that you had in your upbringing. Now, the other thing is that when it comes to significance in your childhood, significance, when that need is not met, then it becomes very hard to know what is good guidance. And when affection is not met, you find that you will struggle with three things. Number one is shame. Then number two is guilt. And number three is rejection. Now, someone who is struggling with shame, guilt, and rejection, what happens is that most of the time, what other people say about you is what matters more than what you believe about yourself. So it's like when you're leaving the house, you're so much concerned by how people view you and what they say. And as a result of that, you find life becomes a big, big challenge. Now, in this journey, the most important thing is you were corrected when you were young. Now you need to correct yourself. And becoming mature is something that is very, very hard. And I always say that for me, maturity, because there are times I ask myself, am I really mature? How did I handle this situation? Did I handle this situation in a mature way? Or then I find myself in a place where I'm saying, I need to correct myself. And the journey of correcting yourself, it takes time. And it's something that you may need to be patient with yourself. Because remember, these are things that you have lived with for about 20, 30 years. Now, it's not something that you can change in a day. It takes time to change the mind. Now, in our childhood, as a child, you had three needs: a sense of belonging, significance, affection. Now, these things can only thrive where there is protection. Now, to be protected, it's not just against intruders or people who can harm your body, but also your mind being protected. And I know that majority of us in our upbringing, in one way or the other, we were magistrates in our parents' issues. So where one parent does something, another one, and then you're caught in the middle of it. And so you become a magistrate. And now when this happens, it affects your decision making as you grow. And it also affects how you're raising children and also your relationship, let's say, with your spouse or maybe someone that you're going to get married to. Now, the only way to counter that, you need three things. One is vision. Number two, you need knowledge. And number three, you need understanding, which is how it works. Vision, knowledge, understanding. Now, in in our mentorship program, one of the things that we keep on asking people is, what is your vision in life? And majority of us, we can write vision for our institutions, we can write business plans, but we don't even have a plan for ourselves. So you can build a business very well, and you can come up with your business plan, but it's like it becomes hard to develop your own personal plan. And the reason being, we go back to where we started, not being in touch with yourself. And this is not a call to, to those things that are fishy about being in touch with yourself. It is simply understanding you are created in God's image and likeness. Now, get in touch with that image, get in touch with that likeness. His image and likeness, that is his morality and his character. And it's not from a place of demand of how you're supposed to behave and do things, but from a place of becoming, so that whatever you do is an overflow of who you are. It's not something that you are trying to attain so that you can get affirmation from other people. Now, we go deeper now, and I want us to look at the Father's voice. Majority of us, when we were growing up, and we've had this conversation with my wife, who is, she's super brilliant and a great mind. And when she was growing up, I remember her saying that the dad wanted her to do computer science, but her heart was inclined to political science and sociology. Now, this is someone who was very good in science, but now she decided to do humanities. And for a very long time, she tried to do things in a way to prove that um, she can do this thing. And even though she's very good in sciences, she had to make a decision. Now, the beauty of this matter is the father was supportive when she decided to take a different route. Some of us, we have heard things from our fathers, maybe your dad saying that, let's say you're good for nothing, or not even paying attention to what you're doing. Others, when, let's say, taking your report form, and he's asking you, this is the only thing that you can, this is the only thing that you can do. Or maybe you even had your dad talk negatively, or say something to your mom that was negative. And I know for our generation, if we misbehaved, there was a beating. And that beating was not, I think if it was to happen today, I think it would be termed as crimes against humanity, how some people are beaten. But, and sometimes in our mentorship program, we ask young people, what are some of the nicknames that you give your parents? And it is hilarious because you'll hear someone say, my dad is a terrorist. So when he shows up, we have to flee because he's like a bomb. Then you hear someone else saying, oh, my dad is, he's a lion. And that time you're thinking, this person will say he protects them. And this person says, when he roars, we run away. And so the question is, what is the image that your dad gave you about masculinity? Now, the image that your dad gave you, and the words that he used, those words, you took them to heart as a young child. And now what followed after that was you followed those words. Because if you can still remember some of those words, good ones and bad ones, you followed those words. The other thing is that these words determine your judgment based on what your father said. And these words, they become your protection. And now here protection is, you know, there are people, because of low self-esteem, their weapon of survival is intimidation, control, and number 3, manipulation. Intimidation, control, and manipulation. And what happens as a result of your father's voice? You either respond to a situation or you react. You either respond or react. And so moving forward, as we look at some of these things, I want us to ask ourselves a few questions. And I have about 5 questions. And question number 1 is, who are we trying to change? Because some of us live a life where we are trying to change our father's voices, that they can say something totally different. And maybe the father is not there, or maybe the father is not even in a position to have that conversation. I remember one time I went and I told my dad, I have forgiven you. And my dad asked me, for what? I explained to him, and he told me, in Africa, children don't forgive their parents. And it was such a big challenge having that conversation with him. So the question is, who are you trying to change? Are you trying to change your father's voice? Are you trying to change your father? Or are you trying to change maybe a male figure in your life? And that believe trying to change people. Why? Because of the voices that we had. Now, someone shared with me something that is very, that was very, very interesting. and that is my therapist, who said that what people think, how people feel, and how people behave, it is not your responsibility to change them. How people feel, how they behave, and how they think, it is not your responsibility to change them. And if only you can, try as much as you can try not to change other people. Try as much as you can to change yourself and become comfortable with yourself. Life
Ladies, we are together as we wait for John to return. I hope we are together. Okay, thank you, Prudence, for confirming that. John, you're good? Okay. As John comes back, I hope so far you're enjoying and trying to remember some of the things that you went through when you were a child. I've seen Nancy's answer, and my dad was a disciplinarian, and he's right. You know, some of the person that we become today is affected by the masculinity that we saw on the men around us. Is there anybody who may want to share a story, maybe, or just maybe from their perspective so far what we have learned? He has handled the three areas about what is it? Belonging, significance, and affection, and also the importance of having vision, knowledge, and understanding. I hope that's, it's resonating with you and causing you to think a lot. I've liked the challenge about, do you have your own personal vision, or are you leaning on maybe somebody else's? So that's a challenge to ourselves beyond here, that you get to create your own mission statement, so that you have something to live by. You have a set of values that you're going to live by. So thank you and welcome back.
Sorry about that. I don't know what has happened to my laptop. It just went off. Okay, if my phone overheats, we will go off a bit, but we'll tune back. That's okay? Yeah. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can. We can hear you.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
great.
welcome back.
Okay, thank you. So what we were saying is how people think and how they feel and how they behave. It is not your responsibility to change them, but it is your responsibility to change yourself on how you respond to those situations. Then I want to move to the next question. So the question number one was, who are we trying to change? Now, write that question down, then write a list of the people that you are trying to change. It can be your spouse, it can be your dad or your mom, it can be your boss. And sometimes we try to change people on how they see us. But guess what? You can't change how people see you. But you can change yourself to respond to how people see you. Then the next question is, who am I trying to control? And on this one, I would say, accept what you have control over. It is you. You are the only one you can control. And the reason why we seek to control, number one, it's because of our experiences. And if we cannot journey back and face our experiences, then these experiences determine what we value in life. And I've heard people say, and I have used this analogy before, whereby someone asks you, why do you work so hard? And you hear someone saying, I am running away from poverty. Or why do you compensate so much, buying your children all sorts of stuff? And you hear someone say, when I was growing up, I didn't have a chance to get these things. And I've heard quite a number of mothers saying that, I have failed as a parent, and I am not good enough because my child is not performing well in school, and all sorts of things. Remember, the only person you can control is you. And it is good to accept your realities. And that is why we have self-control in the scriptures. If it was not beneficial, maybe it could have been control others. But even God, he does not control us. He has given us free will. So try as much as you can not to control other people. So under that question, I would also ask 3 questions that you need to ask yourself. Number 1 is, what is my experience? Number 2, what is my reality? Some of us, we have fallen in love with the future that we don't live in the present. And sometimes it's because we are even our own motivational speakers, whereby we are not in touch with what is happening in our lives. We have fallen in love with the future, and we are not in touch with the present. And there comes the challenge, because when your child, let me just dive there a bit. When your child is struggling in one way or the other, most of us fall in love with the future that we want to see in our children. And we fail to nurture them towards that future in the present. And that is why we hold our children so tight to a point that they can't breathe. And it's because we are forcing them to be in the future that we have in our minds instead of journeying with them. Now, that is our children. Now, I would want you to get to a place where you journey with yourself and you're patient with yourself. Then the other thing is, the other question is, what is your reality as a person? What is your reality? And your reality could be, your father mistreated you, your spouse did something, but guess what? God says that he has good plans for you. And his statement is present every single day. And he cares about you. And for your reality, it goes back to the reason why we don't want to face our reality. It's because the vision is not clear. The knowledge is not clear, or maybe the knowledge that we have is not knowledge that is beneficial to how we do things and how we function. And the other thing is, we don't have understanding of how it works. And I would challenge us to do one thing: work towards being comfortable with yourself. Because most of the time, we try to change the external and we are not in touch with the internal. And moving forward, the other question is, am I wounded or traumatized? And being when someone is wounded, like one of my friends, we went running on Sunday, and his knee was wounded. Then on Monday, he could not even leave the house because he has so much pain. Then on Tuesday, he took cold yogurt very early in the morning, and immediately he started coughing. And in this season, coughing is like a crime. So so he even forgot that he had pain on his knee, and now his focus was on coughing. So later he called me and told me, magoti iko sawa lakini nakohoa sana. But when now the cough disappeared, the pain on his knee came back. But it was, so I was telling him, it's just that he had changed focus from the knee to how he was coughing and all that. Now, here's the thing. Sometimes we are wounded and we ignore that because of a certain trauma in life. And then when trauma is dealt with, the woundedness still continues to determine our decisions. Now, here is a question that I would want you to ask yourself. Do I have memories that interfere with the present? Number two, do I have memories that make me see myself not worth living? And I want to say that we become the image of what we remember instead of what we envision for the future. And majority of us, we live in our past, not that we are aware that we are living in our past, but our past has shaped how we live and how we become. Now, on this one, I would say it is very, very important to forgive yourself, to forgive others, and be kind to yourself. Forgive yourself, forgive others, and be kind to yourself. And lastly, I want to talk about the power of choice. Simply because the most powerful endowment that God gave humanity is the power of choice. And how he did it, he gave you and I free will. And the power of choice, it is what helps you choose. Like now, being here, it is a choice that you made. What you're wearing, it's a choice that you made. The phone that you have, it's a choice that you made. The shoes that you're wearing, it's a choice that you made. And where you go to salon, it's a choice. When you decide to wash your hair at home, it's a choice that you make. Now, that power of choice, transfer that and make a choice to be comfortable with yourself. And the power of choice make people retaliate or restore. And, and I want to say that what we think about ourselves and how we think about ourselves, it is a choice. So we wake up and choose to do it. And one of my friends makes a joke about choices, because you know how border borders behave on the road sometimes. And he hoots and stops these guys and asks them, why did you wake up? Why did you choose to wake up? Because you look like you want to be knocked by a car. Was that your choice? And the guy would say no. So that way they have a conversation and he trains them on how to overcome some of those behaviors. But remember, you have the power of choice. Now, is it the father or is it a man who determines a woman's choice? I would throw it back and say this. It is not the man and it is not the father. Because when God created man and woman, he said that he has given us authority to rule over the birds of the air, the fish of the sea, and there is nowhere he said, woman. If it was for a man to make choices for the woman, then the woman should have been in that passage. I have given you authority to rule over the birds of the air, the fish of the sea, and woman. But he says, man and woman, I created them. And he gave them authority over what he had created. Now, the challenge is the narratives that we have about marriage are narratives where you come in marriage as a competing arena. Wewe ukirusha na rusha, as in it's like a campaign, whereby if you do this, I do this. And sometimes as a result of lack of, where people are not complementing each other, they tend to start competing with each other. Now, the biggest challenge is that when there is a conflict at home, that pain that we are not able to deal with, our experiences, we project this to our children. And so we make a choice to harm our children based on the experiences that we have at home. Now, most of us abandon the power to choose. So either you get in a relationship or you get, let's say it's a job interview, and someone comes and tells you, we are going to give you this job, give us a response by tomorrow. And you have not even informed your boss on the other side. And this person is telling you, you must tell me now. Now, the moment you tell that person, it's okay, I can talk to my boss, but I have made that decision. It's a choice that you have made. And what happens in that moment, you have abandoned your power to choose. Now, the other thing is that choice establishes boundaries of functionality in your life. When you know that you have the power to choose, it actually helps you establish boundaries. And I'm not talking about boundaries where now you go back to your house and you tell your spouse, sasa hapa kuna boundary, kupita hapa hapana. No. It is boundaries where you know that in your mind you will entertain what is true, what is noble, what is trustworthy. And you will not allow someone to take you down a route of degrading yourself. And you will not allow yourself to take that journey. Because sometimes we say, it is my spouse who made me be like this. But guess what? God gave you the power of choice. And when you commit your ways to God, He will instruct you on how to go about things. And the power of choice should not be used as a weapon. That is point number 3. But an environment of growth. The power of choice should not be used as a weapon, but an environment of growth, whereby your power to choose dignifies other people. Now, you cannot dignify other people if you don't have self-dignity. And when you abandon the power to choose, you actually abandon your integrity, because then there is no oneness of mind and heart in the things that you do. And lastly, choice builds inner transformation, not just outer conformity. Choice builds inner transformation, not just outer conformity. And I want to challenge us to do this. Choose to evaluate your heart with the questions that we have shared and ask yourself, what is it that I have chosen to do now that can affect my future and that is affecting me currently? And with this, I would say, you are created in God's image and in His likeness. Choose today to dignify yourself. Choose today to dignify other people. And there is a scripture that I truly love. It is in Proverbs, Proverbs 3:5, which says, trust in the Lord with all your heart. Do not depend on your own understanding. Seek His will in all you do, and He will show you which path to take. Now, the power to choose that you have, the only way that power cannot be used as a weapon is when you choose to trust in God. So taking your choice and choosing to trust in God with all your heart and not depending on your own understanding. And your own understanding here can be the things that my mother said, the things that my father said, the things that my sisters said, the things that my bosses said, and all sorts of things. And it can even be your interpretation concerning a matter. And the question is, when you see a situation, do you take it back to God, or do you just act for the sake of acting? Now, yesterday we had a conversation with my mechanic. He's a man I love, and I visit him just to have a chat with him. And he said something very, very interesting, that in life, when you fail to see the other person as a potential human being who will manifest God's kingdom in your life, then it will be very, very hard for you to dignify that person. And then he flipped it a bit and he said, if you're not able to get to a place where you're comfortable with yourself, it will be very, very hard to dignify yourself. And I know some of us, we think dignifying ourselves is maybe checking in a bakery and taking that piece of cake, may I have a cup of coffee. And I'm not saying those things are bad. But guess what? If you're not comfortable with yourself, no matter how many pieces of chocolate chips you can have, there's no way those things can transform your mind. And what we need most is where you transform from within outwards. And lastly, verse 7 of the same chapter says, don't be impressed with your own wisdom. Instead, fear the Lord and turn away from evil. And it says, then you will have healing for your body and strength for your bones. And I want to give you an example. In the first week of June, I was admitted in hospital. And why was I admitted? I was not sleeping well. And I think I was only sleeping for about 3 hours a day. I was not eating well. And it's interesting, I've never found someone who does not sleep well and they are eating well. So I was not eating well and I was really pushing myself. So I found myself in hospital. And when I got there, there's this lady who passed by there. She's a nurse, looked at me and she asked me, John Wills, is it you? I said, yes. And she went announced and said, I'm the one taking care of John Wills. Then she asked me, do you remember me? I said, no, I can't remember you. So she said, you taught me how to raise my son in 2012. And when I was taken to the ward, she picked her Bible and took it to that ward and left it there. So when I got in, I was using my phone. I think some of us behave like we are governors and we are not, trying to answer calls even in hospital. And this person came and picked my phone and said, you are not taking time with God. You need to rest. And looking back, I had depended on my own wisdom, thinking that pushing myself so hard, I was going to get satisfaction and I was going to attain a few things. And I remember last year, one of my therapists telling me, you need to have self-care. Jesus died once, you don't need to die for the world. So I want to challenge you, don't end up in hospital just because you're not comfortable with yourself. And trust in God, let him guide you and let him heal your heart. About what your father said about you, in one way or the other, it has affected your relationship with God, positively or negatively. And I've heard people say they are not even able to pray in the name of the Father because their father was not a good father. And so they would want to know this God who is a good father. And having said all that, I would say, if your view of masculinity is distorted, Maybe how you are treating your son, it is simply as a result of what was affected by the conversations that you had with your fathers. Or maybe your spouse is paying for your father's sins and you're trying to rectify your father through your spouse. And so, having said all that, allow me to leave you with this word. It's still in chapter 3 of Proverbs, that by wisdom, the Lord founded the earth. By understanding, he created the heavens. By his knowledge, the deep fountains of the earth burst forth, and the dew settles beneath night sky. What that means is wisdom will give you a foundation. And number two, knowledge will bring forth life. And that is the knowledge of God. And you will become fruitful. And because you're a child of God, allow God to lead you and to guide you. Wake up in the morning and tell yourself that you're beautiful. Whatever part of your body that you're not comfortable with, tell God, thank you, because I am unique, I am blessed, and I am comfortable with myself. And lastly, I would say, try as much as you can to say thank you for 21 days, and it will change your conversation. And in these 21 days, write down some of the words that you will stop using about yourself. Then those words, give them to a friend. And when you use those words, hold yourself accountable and ask that person to hold you accountable. Thank you very much. Anyone with a question?
Ladies, anyone with a question? And as you form that, thank you so much, John. The words that you have put together in that short time are very, very powerful. There's one statement that has caught me off guard, that we abandon the power. It is us who abandon the power to choose. Because it's very easy to say so and so has been treating me badly, or I'm in this relationship that's not working because this person is like this to me. So what I'm hearing you saying, and you can tell us from a male perspective, is it is us to choose a different route. Is that what I'm hearing you saying?
Yes. And it is very, very interesting, because if your happiness, if your joy and your sadness is dependent on what another person does or what they say, then you're not living your life. You're actually living someone else's life. And you're hoping that your life will become better by living someone else's life. And what we're simply saying here is, when you realize that you have power to choose, the level of blaming drops, and the level of gratefulness rises, because you realize that God has gifted you to I don't know how to put it. Actually, simply, if God took away the power to choose, then I think the sense of us depending on Him could not be, it could not be there. As in, that would just come to an end. But you see, as a person, instead of saying that, let's say my boss makes me feel sad because of 1, 2, 3, 4, you have a power to choose that he will not make you feel bad. And you need to be differentiated. And being differentiated is knowing who you are and making sure that you have boundaries and you're not allowing another person to determine how you live. Let me not sound like I'm an activist here. What I'm simply saying is, do not abandon yourself in someone else's choices. Do not abandon yourself in someone else's way of thinking, how they behave, and how they feel. And one of the things that I keep on saying, even at home with my family, is, if I have said something that hurts you, come and tell me that I have said something that hurts you. But don't allow what I have said make you feel that that's who you are. That's not who you are. That is my view of you, but you are created in God's image and his likeness. And my view of you does not in any way interfere with how your creator sees you and the intentions that exist in your heart concerning your existence and your functionality. And once you regain that power to choose, you will realize it will become very easy to articulate your vision in life. Instead of saying that I am here doing 1, 2, 3, 4 to pay bills so that my family can be comfortable, that's not a vision. So you need to get to a place where, please, 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 don't say that someone else has made you become who you are. You have power to choose. And choose, number one, choose to honor God, choose to love yourself, and number 3, choose to dignify other people. Number 1, choose to honor God, choose to dignify yourself and honor yourself, and choose to dignify other people. Self-care is very, very important. And if you're here and you're not sleeping for 6, 7 hours, wewe ni wale wa kulala unaamka 1 hour unashtuka. You need to address some of those things, and you need to quiet your mind. And to quiet your mind, make sure that you let go all those things that people have said about you. I have seen one of us asking me to repeat the 3 statements about choice. One of them is most of us abandon the power to choose. Most of us abandon the power to choose. And number 2, choice establishes boundaries of functionality in your life. And number 3, choice is not a weapon, but an environment of growth. So, and I want to emphasize on that. Don't use the word, I don't care how you feel. No. That's not what you're talking about. Choice should not be used as a weapon. Choice is choice is an environment of growth. Use it as in everything you do, let it be to dignify and to create an environment of growth. And lastly, choice builds inner transformation, not just outer conformity. Choice builds inner transformation, not just outer conformity. Choice builds inner transformation, not just outer conformity. When you become differentiated and you're able to make choices, I don't know how many of us you've ever gone to a shop, even a supermarket, you have your list, but you can't choose. Unaangalia vitu tu hivi, you know what you came to pick, but you can't choose because there is a new product in the market. So you take a lot of time there. Now, you need to start working on your power to choose. Now, there's an organization that called my wife for some work. And after evaluating, because we had a conversation about it, I asked her a few questions. And the reason why I do that, it's for her to make the decision, not for me making that decision for her. And she realized that the organization they were not really committing to meet some of her demands. And so when they called her and she said, sorry, I don't think I can take it up. I want to let it go. And these guys told her, actually, we were just waiting for that so that we give it to someone else. And it was hurtful. But I looked at how she handled the situation. Because she has power to choose, she said, I am grateful to God because if someone can treat you this way, when you get in, it will be trouble. So not your boss, not John Wills, not even the president, not even your father or your mother, not even your spouse should take away the power to choose from you. And as I say that, don't use it as a weapon. Use it to create an environment of growth, because power of choice is a call to be responsible. Yeah.
John, I have to keep reminding myself I'm the host, so I would have written every sentence, because everything you're saying, the nuggets you're giving are so powerful. And so far, Nancy says these are deep insights about the power of choice. And Eve is saying for her, she's been taking away the power to choose from herself for so long. And I think this is a message that needs to reach as many of us ladies as possible, that it is not somebody who is taking away our possibilities. It is us who are making that choice for ourselves. We cannot say that we are not progressing in life, whether it is career or our family life or even the financial life. It is us who are making that choice for ourselves. I think that's so mind-blowingly powerful. Um, so what about where, and I know you're open to listening, what about where there's either financial abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse? How do we then give ourselves permission to move on and progress and not stay stagnant in the pain?
Um, I think when it comes to any form of abuse, one of the things, remember I talked about our realities, and especially when in marriage, you can actually fall in love with someone's future, as in the future person, whereby I've had people say, I'll get married to this person so that I pray for them to change. So you're falling in love with what that person should be. But remember, they also have power to choose. They have power to choose. And I think it is really sad where there is financial, there is emotional, there is physical abuse. It is really, really, really sad. And where those things are happening, it's simply because the perpetrator abandoned the power to choose. And so they're either living someone else's life, or they are so frustrated that the tool of control that they were using is not working anymore. And you see, when you abandon the power to choose, what you're betraying is your own integrity and human dignity. And so it is very, very important to seek help. Where there is abuse, seek help. And remember, you can't change anyone. So if you're going to continue living that way, it's a choice that you have made. And I know that there are quite a number of narratives that we hear. And I remember one time, one of my friends telling me that I will never go for a bridal shower again. Yeah, those guys, the things that they were saying, I'm even scared of getting married. And this person was being told, in marriage, even if there is abuse, you have to, I don't know, you have to persevere. And 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 this person got married. Actually, her mentality was perseverance. So from the word go, the guard was high, and she had these walls of perseverance that, honestly speaking, this one I am not going to persevere. So even small things, her responses were informed by her resentment to what was said in some of these gatherings. Then remember, when anything happens in the society, sorry to say, but women actually receive the beating. When the family is not functioning well, you go to the village, wazee wameitwa, it's the woman who is questioned most of the time. And it's just how culture is. But now, you can't abandon your power to choose to what culture says. or to what the patterns that are created by men and other women. You have to remember that you are unique and you have power to choose. Then the other thing is, this is something that my mechanic told me yesterday. He said, men were not created to just give seed in this world. And women were not just created to give birth in this world. There is more to life than that. And that more to life is that God is love. And so the word of God says that love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul. I won't ask us as church, malizia hiyo ingine, but I would say, it says, and love your neighbor as you love yourself. And my mechanic told me, the reason why you go helping these people to come fix their cars here, it's simply because you love yourself and you value your car. You know that you spend a lot of time in it when you're traveling. And so if you don't love yourself, there is no way you're going to love your neighbor. But if you're in a relationship that is abusive, seek help. And number one, seek a mediator. Number two, seek your personal growth. And number three, don't remain in an abusive relationship. Simply because what abuse does, abuse seeks to break your spirit. And when your spirit is broken, you don't have power to choose. Remember how, and don't quote me anywhere, just remember this. During slave trade, the slave traders, they didn't seek to harm the body. They sought to inflict pain to destroy the spirit, so that whatever the slave is told, the response is, yes, master. And most of the time, even when you read books and you watch movies and all that about slavery, the slave masters kept on pushing, you have no power to choose. It is what I say that happens. Now, I want to push it further. Do not raise your children as slaves, whereby you break their spirit. Raise your children in a way that they dignify themselves and they are so comfortable with themselves that they will make a choice. They have the power to choose. And I remember yesterday, I asked my nephew, I asked him whether he would want to take me to the garage. And he told me, no, uncle, I can't come with you because there's some work I'm doing. And I realized this child, he has such a strong power to choose that he cannot just be swayed by my invitation for him to join me in what I am doing. And sometimes some of us, unatolewa kwa WhatsApp group, and you are so disappointed, you feel rejected. You even seek, you take 2 days to pray and fast. And it's simply because that's where your identity was. That's where you delegated your sense of belonging, your significance, and your identity. But when your power to choose is intact and growing, then your identity is secure. Yes.
Yeah, so ladies, those who are in this meeting right now and those who will listen to this recording later, the encouragement from John Wills is anything you dream, and especially if it's aligned with God's will, is within reach. We just need to sit down with ourselves, as he has said, and just go through those questions. You know, who is it who has ever said something hurtful that you have believed and you have lived according to their statements in your life? We have to take back our power. We have to read God's word and know that if God says that we are beautiful, if he says that we are wonderful, if he says that he's given us the dominance or the reign over his resources, then that should happen in our personal lives, it should happen in our family lives, it should also happen in our finances. And before we let you go, John Wills, you have such a powerful mentorship program, especially for sons. And I would like you to talk to us, especially for those who are mothers with sons or who are raising men in our homes. Talk to us about your programs, how we can get in touch with you, so that then this cycle stops.
Okay, great. Um, for for our mentorship program, we have Brave Hearts, and Brave Hearts runs as it can be one-on-one or a group, and our focus is deploying sons and not boys. And so where sons get to a place where they know they get to appreciate their sonship, and number two, not just becoming responsible men, but knowing who they are and coming up with their vision statement and also living their life in a way that they are accountable to their brothers. And so our focus is to create a critical mass of young sons who can grow together, who can hold each other accountable, who can uplift each other, and sons who will also deploy other sons. And with this, we encourage people, if you know a man, let's say even if it's the father, we encourage them to take their sons through this, not necessarily just using our mentors. And the other thing is that our focus is not just the definitions of success that we have in this world, because as we have seen, COVID-19 has shaken our definitions of success. And so what remains is the identity that we have in God and the identity that we have about ourselves. And so Brave Hearts takes 7 weeks, meeting once a week. But after 7 weeks, then the son joins, he joins the clan. And after joining the clan, then we build conversations. And if he has any question, he can always reach out. And we also have father to son. Father to son was as a result of these older men that I hang out with. One of them who asked me, if you're the only one who is doing this, what will happen when you're not there? So we decided to multiply ourselves and encouraging fathers to raise their sons in a good way. Reason being, most of us raise our children using the script that our parents used on us, and that in one way or the other affects our children negatively. And if you've ever quoted to your child, "I was not raised like this," remember, that's not you. That's your child, and you need to do it differently. And you need to create your own story and help your child create their own story. So that's what we are doing. And you can check leadglobalimpact.com, leadglobalimpact.com, and you can also check twasoma.com. For twasoma.com, that's what we are currently using for mentorship. It's also a platform that we provide for people to reach out, and also for educators to strengthen their work. And then finally, we have Leaders Crest. Leaders Crest is a journey of leadership, mainly targeting young people, not for employment. We don't equip young people for employment. We equip them to live. Because when they leave, when they get that place of employment, it will be very easy for them to be productive. And I want to challenge us, try as much as you can, even as you journey with Werimo, try as much as you can to write down your vision statement, so that even when you're looking for a job, you're looking for a job aligned to your vision. And that's what we encourage even our sons to do. Ages are currently from 11 to 17, because for 7-year-olds we discourage them to use online platforms, because of virtual fatigue. But for 11 years old to 17, those ones, it's not as hard to use virtual learning. Yeah, so that's it for now.
Okay, thank you so much. I saw like Elsie's hand was up. Elsie, did you want to ask a question? Elsie?
I'm okay. I raised
Okay.
it by mistake, but I appreciate all that John has said this morning. It was very informative.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Well noted. So thank you so much, John. We'll keep engaging with you. We'll keep serving God through our mentorship platform so that then society is changed. Like you have said, from inside out, we all make a choice. We have gotten the knowledge now. We'll ask God for understanding. We'll ask God to lead our path. There are those three things that you've reminded us. Number one, ladies, we have to honor God. Number two, we have to dignify ourselves and dignify others. And so that then when you're making a choice, you're making a choice not only to make somebody else's environment better, but it all starts with us. If we are better, then we liberate others to be better. So thank you so much, John Wills. Thank you, Jerry, for releasing you also to us. May the Lord bless you, ladies. And if you need to contact John Wills beyond this, please reach out to me or reach out through the platforms that he has given. May the Lord bless you. May the Lord keep you, John Wills. May he expand the Brave Heart. May he expand the Father to Son program, and may he use you to transform the hearts of the men in our lives. So thank you so much, ladies. God bless you, and see you another time. Thank you. Thank you, ladies. Okay, bye.